This is the Talkshow with Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin, and I am here today on episode 13 with one of my good friends and co-workers, Anthony I'm terrible with your
You
last name,
still
bro.
can't get it right.
Yeah, it's great, it's great. But
Uh,
Tony Shed Talk here. But yeah, man, what's up, man?
hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Glad that we're off work and able to actually relax, and it's an honor to be here. So I appreciate you having me and asking me to come on. So,
Yes, sir.
eh.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thanks for coming on, bro. I definitely really appreciate it. But yeah, man, if you want to go ahead, like introduce yourself, like who you are, what do you do for a living, a fun fact about yourself, anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name's Anthony Malatestanik. Some of you know me as Tony Shed Talk, Tony Football, Sleeves, however the hell I have 1,000 nicknames, whatever. But I'm from right here in Harrisburg. Um, we are. I actually just bought a house here in Harrisburg as well a few months back, but I haven't left. But like Vic said, we are coworkers. I work at West Shore Home. I went to school for HR, so I'm in recruiting. I do talent acquisition, and yeah, I mean, fun fact about me: I played soccer pretty much all my life until I realized, I'm old and I can't run like I used to, and might have put on some weight, so that's why I gave it up. But I do love the sport, and really just anything about sports in general. So, I know it's cliche, but it's just me. So,
No, yeah, that's pretty cool and yeah, interesting enough. Like you said, like you work at West Shore Home as a recruiter, and you were actually part of the process of getting me into the job that I am as well with the company. So that was pretty cool. It's not about what you know; it's about who you know. Sometimes, though, right?
that's facts. That is facts.
Yeah, man. But let's get into the reason why we're all here today. We're gonna first start off talking about your podcast. Actually, what is your podcast called?
So I'm the host of Shed Talk podcast. Yeah, do it right out of my shed in my parents' backyard.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. It's definitely a unique take on a podcast. Like it's something that like singles you out, makes you look different and stuff like that. Obviously, I mean there probably is other people that do this, the whole shed, or maybe something like that. But it's something pretty cool. I've never seen it personally. I'm a big podcast guy, but that's definitely pretty dope. So, but on your show though, with the what do you talk about? Is there anything like something that you like to stay towards, or how is it?
Yeah, I mean, as far as it's structured, I mean, I'm very much freelanced about it. The whole concept of it is, when I started it with my former co-host Nate. The whole goal was really just to use the shed as a comfort space, and also just talk about who you are and what you do. And a lot of it really, I have a various different guests. It doesn't matter what they do. I've had ABC 27's weatherman Eric Finkenbinder, for example. I've
Yeah,
had
that's
Dolphin
dope.
County Commissioner George Hartwick. I've had Chase Edmonds from the Arizona Cardinals. Like there's a whole different variety to it, and a lot of it actually stems down to mental health, because that's a big topic for myself and something that I'm very passionate about, and something I feel that is important for everybody to be aware of. So talking about their lives, what how they do what they need to do to continue on and continue their passion. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's kind of similar in a way with this talk show too. You just like to bring on different guests and get different perspectives of all kind of topics, like all across the spectrum. Because I mean, we are going to be talking about mental health today as well. But there's been plenty of ones where we've talked about being a rape survivor or being a woman in 2021 to just more mental health stuff and autism. So I mean, we touch all kind of topics on here as well. So me and you kind of have the same similar concept in a way. So it's pretty cool. I'm glad I could have you on the show because we can relate really well. But
for
when did you get
sure.
started with the Shed Talk?
So Shed Talk started February of 2020. So I've been doing this for a little over a year, almost a year and a half now. Been doing it solo, at least in front of the camera, for the last few months.
Okay. And what made you get started? Like why did you want to do it? Was it because of the pandemic that was starting, or was that just like a not really an effect?
No, honestly, I mean, it was like I kind of like I didn't really dive in, but like with Nate, him and I used to hang out a lot in the shed, and that was just a spot like that's pretty much a man cave in there. It's got a TV, it's got a fridge, it's got the lounge chairs, a nice warm fire on the side. So when it's cold, that's where we're chilling instead of being in the house where everybody else is. We would
Hmm.
sit out there, hang out, catch up. That was my space when I was living at home. Now that I moved, even though it's literally down the street, um, I still have. Yeah, I didn't move too far, but excuse me. I kept the idea going, just because it's a chill spot, it's a safe place to relax, and it's just good memories that come out of that place. So
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. I got to come over there and check it out, man. Even if it's just to chill and stuff.
hey, anytime, bro. I can't wait to have my own shed here in the next year or so.
There you go. You got to go big with it. Got to make that one look like that was
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah. The cost of lumber is the only problem right now. I'm like, I
Right.
would love to build one, have somebody come and build it. And with COVID and everything, man, that shit skyrocketed. And I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Just wait a few years maybe, and then you'll be good. But but out of your episodes, if you that you have done so far, which has been like your favorite that you would say so far?
Hmm. No, that's a great question. I mean,
I know it's
and
probably
like I
tough.
said, every person is different. Like that I have on. If I had to say what my favorite though was, I did one with my middle school gym teacher, the Philip Jackson. Shout out, Mr. Jackson, you bum. No, he's a great guy. That's one of his lines. He always calls people a bum. But no, Mr. Jackson was one of my people that motivated me throughout my life, even though I was a middle school gym teacher, maybe as cliche as that could sound. No, he really cared about the kids. He cares about his current babies. That's what he calls them. He called us all his babies. And he really took care of us. Like he molded us into some really, good people. And that was his inspiration. And being able to share that on Shed Talk was really cool. Nobody. He's a middle school gym teacher. If you look at it black and white, but really, people like that they're really doing the Lord's work. They're the ones handling the kids when the parents aren't around, and
Hmm.
making their lives. They're molding them into adults. So
Right, yeah. No, it's always cool to have like more or less like a role model or just somebody there to like make sure that you're trying like at least doing the right thing or trying to do the right thing and guide you. Because like growing up as kids, like sometimes you can deviate and go down a bad path really quick. It's peer pressure and just a new change of scenery. Like going to middle school and high school and stuff like that. Your body's you're transforming and stuff like that. So like your mind's all over the place. You're more susceptible to trying something that you probably shouldn't be trying and stuff like that. So having somebody there to help influence you when you're away from home, I think is really important. And that'll even
yeah.
stem into like mental health and stuff like that when we get into that in a little bit. But what's your dream guest to have on the show? Is there somebody that you really want to have on the show? I know I've been seeing your stories. You're like, who should I have on the show? Like, which one stood out to you the most, or maybe that you want to know?
See, there's one in particular that I have. He's actually who kind of gave me the idea to do this. One day, Joe Rogan, your ass better come to my shed. That is my number one goal with the podcast. Is he kind of inspired me to? He's very charismatic. I like somebody like him he's somebody with that kind of intelligence. He doesn't seem that intelligent if you look at him
He's a
face to
crazy
face.
guy. He's definitely a crazy guy.
He's a crazy dude, but like when you actually like dive into a guy like him, he's able to relate to literally every single person, and obviously he's at a national, like he does this for a living type scale,
Hmm.
and he has all a range of guests, and it's a whole different crowd all the time. That's what inspired me to do Shed Talk. So I just
Okay.
wanted to make it my own, and obviously he's an idol of mine. So I hope one day he hears this and he hops on with me. So.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope, man. I used to listen to his podcast a lot, and it's just like he's so dope too. Like some people like really worry about time limits on podcasts. That dude does not care. He'll have an episode that's 45 minutes long. He'll have an episode that's 3 hours long. It does not matter. He always has good content too. You're going to want to sit there for 3 hours and listen to what he has to say or his guests too, and it's really incredible to see. So yeah, I definitely like
Facts.
that's a pretty dope uh dream guest, I would say. But moving on here, where do you see your podcast in the next 5 years? Like, what is your goal with this podcast?
Yeah. Obviously the goal like everybody else is to have everybody really, obviously tune in, have a million followers, all that. No, really my goal with the entire thing, the shed to me is a community. I want that to be, especially, obviously starting at the local level, I want to build a community here with the shed. I want to be able to have people, we have a creative group. We all work together. I've preached it many times on Shed Talk. The only way to get to the top is support each other, love each other. It's not about me being better than you and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. It's not, that can't be the case. The only way to grow is together, and we all make it to the top. Really, that's what I want to do. I want to turn Shed Talk into a community. There's things that I like to do, like, not just giveaways for Jokes Apparel or like any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to start donating money to different charities, run different events, and really another part of it is just keep getting involved in the community that gave me an opportunity to do this. So that's a big part of it. But just for myself, obviously, just like every other aspiration, you want to be the best at what you do. You want to be at the top, but really the only way to do that is to have a community that, one, believes in you, and also you give back, because that you wouldn't be there without them.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Is there any other content that you look to produce from the Shed Talk, like branching out into other avenues or different types of podcasts and stuff like that? Any ideas cooking?
yeah, yeah. Oh, there's, believe me, I've been having some ideas. A couple of them. I mean, it's just hard, obviously, because you're trying to grow your baby. Yeah, that's Shed Talk for me, and there's a lot I want to deviate to. We were just talking about it off camera. I'm trying to get a soccer podcast going because I know that I'd be able to talk about it with somebody out there. So if you're listening, please let me know. I will take anybody that's interested in doing a soccer podcast with me. So
Right. Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. That's awesome. Like as you can see with my like brand, I guess like I have the talk show with Vic, and then I have the Press Start podcast, which is my gaming podcast. Some ideas that I'm cooking up right now is on the Press Start podcast. At the end of it, we have like a section where we talk about like world news and world topics. I actually want to break that away from the gaming podcast and create its own podcast on like world news, and so it's also divides the time down too, because some of the Press Start podcasts can go on for hours, like 2 hours long, and it's just some people don't want to sit around for 2 hours to listen to talk. Some people only want to listen to the world news, but they don't want to listen to an hour and a half of gaming before they get to that, even though they could probably fast forward it. But it's just like if I separate it,
right.
people can pick and choose and navigate and listen to what they want to listen to, because we cover a lot of topics, for a lot of great topics and informative stuff, from gaming to world news to just more world like other topics too. So it's pretty cool. And then yeah, I can't wait to like hopefully like open up like a shop, even like I want to, because like overall my arching brand is called the Chill Zone, like have a building called the Chill Zone where people can actually come and chill, have a couple beers and stuff like that, watch some podcasts, throw some ideas out there, just like a brainstorming place too, like something chill, obviously sticking to the whole name and stuff.
Yeah,
So those are some ideas that I have
that's a
cooking
great
that I'm working
idea.
around, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But sticking to your podcast though, what are some advice to give to other people who's wanting to start up a podcast? Like, what does it take? Like, what did you do to start up a podcast?
So first and foremost, just do it. Don't sit
Just
on
do
your ideas, please. Like, the biggest advice I could give anybody is, if you got an idea, obviously you have a group that you have that are your close friends you probably consult these ideas with. No matter what it is, man, go pursue your dream. We only get tomorrow, so it's very important to. Well, actually, we don't even get tomorrow. We get today. We get right now. So do what you need to do to get it done. But I mean, just as far as like how it like physically happens, obviously you have to invest a little bit into yourself. You have to get the equipment. You have to get, you want to have quality over quantity. That's the biggest part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, and really just believing, like I said, believe in yourself. It's just a matter of do your research, go out there. It's out. The information's out there. Go look for it. Find your niche. That's another one. Find your niche and just do it. That's my best advice.
Yeah, definitely 100% agree. Like, it was just thinking like I've wanted to do a podcast for so long, and it's just like I got to the point where I was, of course, dealing in the middle of the pandemic. I was like, bro, how about let's just do it? Like, I even started it recording this with like a laptop webcam. The quality was terrible. The production was not the greatest. And then I've slowly increased it, and it's still getting better like day by day. So it's just like, you, if you want to do it, do it. and you got to start somewhere. You can't be the best off the gates. That's just not going to happen. You got to understand that too, and it's going to take time to get to that next level, to that Joe Rogan status of a podcast. So definitely one
Facts.
step
I
at a
used
time.
to literally record. I recorded with this. I used my iPhone. Nate and I literally set our iPhones up with no tripods and recorded Shed Talk.
There you go.
You can do it. I swear to God, you
Yeah,
guys can do
everybody has a
it.
smartphone these days. There's no reason to not do it. Just do it, like you said. But all in all, though, where can we find your podcast? Like, what platforms are you on?
So I am on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. I'm also on YouTube. You can find me at all of those at Shed Talk Podcast. Very easy to find. Look for the blue logo. You're gonna find our beautiful shed right there. So
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's pretty dope. But you got any last thoughts on your podcast that you want to talk about real quick before we move on to our next segment?
yeah, no, I want to actually provide some some news here. So actually, two little things. First thing is thank you to my very new sponsor. I announced it today, Ace Distributing out of Wrightsville, PA. Very much appreciate you guys. Also, obviously, shout out to my guys at Jokes on the World. My guy JC Hampshire doing big things in Philly. But
So,
also on that note, you guys better go start buying these damn
yeah,
shirts, bro.
yeah,
Like
I
you
definitely got
can
a couple.
customize it to your last name. Yeah, you can customize it to your last name, and it's really not even that expensive. Beautiful quality, and it's all about you. Join the team. Come join the team.
Yes, sir. Do they come in short sleeve? I need a short sleeve shirt. I'm already sweating like crazy, and I don't want
No,
to get
they
one.
do not. And guess what? I have that pitch to JC already, so
Good.
I'm gonna try to work on that. There are T-shirts out there though. He used to make just Shed Talk jokes on Shed Talk shirts, but
Hmm.
these I am gonna try to get them in short sleeve too. So stay
Okay.
tuned on that.
Yeah, because I'm definitely copping a short sleeve. I don't know if I could do the long sleeve. I don't. I'm always hot. Like a human furnace. I'm always hot, like 24/7.
I I understand. I don't even know. I was like contemplating wearing it, but here we are.
I think the long sleeve like correlates with the whole soccer thing. Like I feel like soccer's apparel is always like long sleeve for some reason. Like where I think of it.
Yeah, back in the day, a lot of the clubs were very big on like the baggy style, the baggy shorts, the bag in the long sleeve because a lot of them play in the cold, man. But now you see players that are wearing skin tight,
Tight
they
stuff.
don't
Yeah.
want much on because of yeah, and it's like all short sleeve. They probably half of them probably don't even want the sleeves on. Like who knows? But
Right. I mean, fashion
adapt
changes like every 5 years, honestly. So who knows? Maybe it'll be
all the
back.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
But yeah, man. Let's move on here to our next segment. Here we got we're gonna talk about mental health and like the importance of understanding it and stuff like that. Do you personally deal with mental health issues at all? If you want to talk about it or not, some people think it's a little too personal, but I think it's always nice to talk about it.
I'm an open book. I'm very open with this kind of stuff, and if you guys listen to Shed Talk, that's why I do it. Mental health, yeah, I'll tell you, everybody does in one way or another, and really, it's something that you just have to be aware of, and you got to cope with how you cope with it.
Hmm. What have been some ways that you've dealt with it? Like, have you like journaled? Have you did some counseling, or have you had to take some medicine, or how have you handled it?
So I think it changes a lot for each person. Like for me personally, it's not the same thing every time.
Okay.
Some things that I've dove into, like I've gone to therapy. I don't mind ever sharing that information because I believe everybody needs a therapist in one way, shape, or form. And the only problem is obviously a lot of it is expensive. Don't forget to go look through your insurance. A lot of insurances now are starting to do that. But on back to that, therapy is obviously something I've dove into. The podcast really keeps me busy. I did used to journal though. I actually used to write little short blurbs, and this was right after, sadly, one of my best friends passed away in 2018, and it was due to suicide. And that was really, I've always been in check with myself, but that really opened my eyes up to life. And
Hmm.
that was one of those biggest struggles that I ever faced, is losing one of my closest friends to life and letting it get to him. And you have to, like, that's one of those things you got to remember, you're never alone. you have to find the ways to, adapt and,
Hmm.
better yourself, or you're never going to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of people suffer to that. So
Right.
I just like to be that person that talks about, don't be afraid, especially from a masculine perspective. It seems like it's harder for men to talk about,
Yeah.
because you don't want to lose your masculinity and be a man. No, it's being a man is being yourself and having the don't. It doesn't matter
And
if you have
taking care of what
emotions.
needs to be
Like
taken
live your
care of.
exactly. Take care of yourself first and foremost. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Like me personally, I've talked on all my shows about my personal mental health issue. I've dealt with an anxiety issue over the past couple of years. Like I feel like I didn't really deal with a lot of mental health issues until as of lately. I don't. I mean, we all change and stuff like that. And honestly, because of the anxiety, I think is what triggered me to do the podcast. Because when I started to have anxiety, I like to talk to people, and then I also like to journal a lot. I like to write it. I just write whatever's on my mind. I started writing, and that led to me writing blog posts. And when I started writing blog posts, I was just like, ooh, maybe I should write a book. So I mean, I still have books that I'm still in the process of writing. Who knows if and when that those will come out, but it's just some stuff that I like to just write and enjoy. But and then like it led to me like I play games. I play a lot of video games, and I was like, maybe I should write game reviews. I love writing. I love playing games. How about I put the two together? Let me play the game and then write about it. So I was like, all right, cool. And guess what? That led to me. I was like, well, shit. Instead of me writing about it, I want to talk about it. And then boom, there we go. Then we had the Chill Zone podcast, aka now the Press Start podcast. We had to rebrand it and stuff like that. And then here we are. Then I started branching out and getting all these other shows and stuff. But it's just like, if it wasn't for me getting anxiety, who knows? I probably wouldn't even have this podcast. So, but it definitely comes down, circling back to anxiety is it affects everybody differently, like you said, and each person's going to be able to handle it differently. Whether it's going to exercise, talking with people, listening to music, reading a book, writing a book. I mean, listening to a podcast, hosting a podcast. Like there are so many different outlets that don't be afraid. And it comes down to that whole pride thing. The pride thing is what really holds people back, and especially like you said with being a guy, you're just like, oh, I'm a pussy if I seek help. I, you don't want to, like, that's not true. Like if you're struggling and you're going through it, talk to people. You can talk to family members.
yeah,
You can honestly talk to me. If anybody's ever listening to it and going through a mental health issue, hit me up. I'm an open book. I'm down to help you out. I'll find help for you. I'll hope you get you. I hope get you through it. So honestly, that's how I feel on mental health. But how how has like mental health affected people that you know closely and personally? Have you noticed anything at all? Obviously, I mean, other than the
so
suicide part, because I obviously that was a mental health thing that
yeah,
led to that.
right. And well, on that, because it kind of ties into Chris. Another buddy of mine, shout out my boy Mate. Him and I, we've been very close for forever. He moved here, I don't know, 11, 12, hell, maybe even longer ago at this point. But, that's something that we have been, Chris was pretty much part of the trio. And
Hmm.
it kind of brought us closer in a way, especially because I was right after I graduated from Bloomsburg, and I was coming home to work, and I rekindled a lot of friendships here at home.
Hmm.
And part of it was, the friends that I have, because my close knit circle, and you guys know who you are. We're very much not afraid to, bounce off of each other and be our own, group, be our own, seek help kind of
Yeah,
situation.
your own
They all
support
know they can
system.
come to me.
Right.
Yeah, we have our support system here, and really, we're not afraid to talk about what's going on in our lives, and I'm very much just like yourself, like you said, being open to speaking to anybody. That comes from me as well. If you're ever struggling, please, I'm very much somebody that I'd rather see you alive tomorrow, and talk about this. So
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. Open up. Don't be afraid. Honestly. But what are some other ways that
yeah.
people can seek help and like that are struggling and stuff?
I think a lot of it really comes down to the person and what they enjoy. Growing up, obviously, we adapt to going to college, or not even going to school, going right into the workforce. So you're busy and you're working however many hours in a day. there's still 24 hours in the day. You have to sleep, you have to eat, but like use the rest of your time to do what you enjoy. And it doesn't matter what it is. Don't be afraid to enjoy what you enjoy. Heck, sometimes I'll still sit around and play Pokemon like I was 10. I'm not afraid to admit that because it's who I am.
Yeah,
And
I
if
mean,
you're I think if you can get right with yourself, man, like just do what you love. Enjoy the time that you have and utilize it properly.
right. I mean, that's nothing wrong with Pokemon, man. I still play Pokemon Go. I still
Never.
collect Pokemon cards. Like, one of these drawers I had, or actually, all those on the top of those are all Pokemon cards I've been collecting lately. Whenever I get lucky to buy them
Ooh.
and stuff like that. So it's just like, because you know that whole, it's impossible to buy Pokemon cards because everybody tackles each other at Walmart and Target for them. But
Yes, they
yeah.
do.
But I mean, you should never be afraid to be who you are or who you want to be. Like I remember growing up in middle school and high school, like damn, like you got to do this to fit in to be the cool guy. Like I got to a point where like I'm just gonna be whoever I want to be. I'm gonna be that nerd, that geek, but I'm also gonna be the cool guy. So that's kind of the person who I became. Like I was always the video game person. I was just the smart, really intellectually book smart person. And guess what? I also played sports, and I was like that cool guy too. So gotta find who you are too, and don't be afraid to be who you are. And you gotta enjoy it because like if you're gonna try to be somebody who you're not, you're gonna be super miserable. You're gonna be like, why am I doing this? And then that's gonna lead to a mental health issue. That's gonna start breaking you down, and that could potentially ultimately lead to suicide or anything like that, or going on a shooting rampage and going to shoot up at whatever. And then it just builds and builds and builds. Don't build it. Just definitely seek help. But
Yeah, for sure.
you got any other last thoughts or advice on the whole mental health issues?
I mean, we've touched on the most important parts of that. Really, I would say, um, if you feel like actually, my last point. Don't think that we're sitting here and we're professionals. Whoever's listening, that doesn't. I don't think you personally need to. I mean, we need professionals to teach us, but like, you don't need to be a professional about yourself. You need to go seek help. That is true. Like when you are struggling, you can't always solve every issue yourself. You don't have control over everything in the world. So utilize the tools that you have, utilize what you can find, but also just stay true to yourself. And again, don't think that we're sitting here acting like we're professionals or nothing,
Right.
but we're very much adaptable to who we are. So
Right. We lived and we learned. We went through all the trials and tribulations, and we're still learning. Every day I'm learning something new about myself, or learning something new about life in general and stuff like that. So I'm always adapting and learning and struggling too. Like I'm not perfect. Neither one of us are perfect, and we always go through different shit every day. But man, mental health is definitely extremely important and stuff, and it needs to be taken seriously. So we gotta keep shedding light on it. No pun intended there. Didn't even think about that one. The whole shed. But let let's move on to something a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun. We're gonna talk about some sports now. This one will be interesting too. We're gonna start off with the NBA because obviously we're in the playoffs. Um, Sucks to see that Kobe, R.I.P. Kobe, but LeBron got bounced in the first round. But who is your favorite team right now, or who has been your favorite team, I should say?
So, very out of the blue, I am a San Antonio Spurs fan.
Whoop whoop.
I will forever be, yeah, I will forever be a Spurs guy. I honestly picked the name because my name is Anthony, and when I was a kid, San Antonio, St. Anthony.
Yeah,
That's really where it came from. Grew up loving Tim Duncan, so
hell
that
yeah,
was, yeah.
yeah. Who was your favorite player? Was it Tim Duncan
Right
or?
now, well, yeah, back then I would say Tim Duncan's been my favorite player of all time. I mean, him, Shaquille O'Neal, two big guys that have always been literally big guys, but they've always
Yeah,
been two of my favorite players to watch.
right.
Right now, I think my favorite player in the league, I'm kind of stuck between Damian Lillard and right now Joel Embiid. I
Okay.
just love Joel Embiid for how much of an asshole he can be on the court, honestly, but he
He's
proves
a character.
himself for real. Yeah, he's the character you want on your team who actually like pushes you to be better, and also just be a clown at the same time. But
Right.
like Damian Lillard is one of the best players in the league. That is just how I'm gonna put it. He hustles. He busts his ass every game. You see him try to put the team on his back, and unfortunately, yeah, he got bounced too. But man,
Yeah, he's a
that
dog,
guy's
man.
got it.
I feel bad
He's
for him half the
special.
time. Like I feel like he's gonna be like Melo. Like he's not gonna get a ring at this point unless he goes to another team. Like him staying in Portland, he's never gonna get a ring, and that's unfortunate. Like he's a dog, man. Like he's a true bona fide dog. Like he'll pull up wherever he wants to. You want to pull up from half court, he'll do it. Like he'll go to the rack on you. He'll just do whatever he wants. He leads his team. It's so incredible to watch that man play. But my favorite team is also the
Yeah.
Spurs, and it was just one of those. Man, I loved watching Tim Duncan and stuff like that, and then having Ginobili and Tony Parker and Bruce Bowen,
Uh,
Brett
Best
Barry,
trio.
like man, that team
A
like
lot of
watch
good names.
lot of good players that came through that system, and just watching like what basketball was about. They were never really flashy. They were fun to watch. It was fundamental. Like this team would literally pass the ball like 10 times before they would take a shot. Like where these other teams are like running gun, pull up, first pass shot, and it's just like
Yep.
it was so exciting to watch that team play and win all these championships too in our lifetime because there's not a lot of people who can say that they watched their team win a chip. We watched like four of them, 4 or 5 of them or whatever, however many it's been honestly, and it's just been really
We
cool.
got five now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we five beautiful rings, and Greg Popovich is the greatest coach of all time. I
yeah,
don't care. I'll put a stamp on that one.
100%. I mean, it's crazy what that guy does, man. And now he's taken over for Krzyzewski as the USA coach too, which my guess is he'll probably won't be doing that too much longer either. Because I mean I know he's probably ready to retire
Yeah,
from San Antonio. I mean he's been doing it for what 20 plus years. I mean, but
easily.
and it's crazy to think like the Spurs before last season, because last season they didn't make the playoffs. Before that they made it to the playoffs 22 straight seasons. I didn't know what losing was in the NBA.
Yeah, we made it. Right, we made it every single season. It's just Popovich has a system. Now, obviously, he hasn't had the same kind of players that we've had in the past, where we
Right,
had the same five or same three at least,
right,
and build around those characters. Now he's got to do the same thing again, and even so, it's at the end of his time. So you
right.
gotta. I like the assistant. I like that we might have the first women's
Yeah,
coach in the NBA.
Hamilton.
That could be pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
pretty
that
dope.
could be pretty cool.
Yeah, it just sucked,
So
man. One of the biggest things that blew my mind was us losing Kawhi Leonard and just like the whole I don't trust the medical staff anymore is basically why he left. And it's just like well, you really just lost one of the greatest players in the league. The best, obviously, probably I would say the best two-way player in the league. Like he'll go out
yeah,
there and guard the best player in your team, and then still go out there and drop 30 and dunk on you. Like, and he doesn't have
yeah,
no emotions. Like probably the least. He's like the funniest, not funny guy ever.
yeah. No, for sure. I mean, he's such a two-way player. I mean, now, thankful. I mean, I would agree with you that he's definitely one of. There are some players now that have kind of stuck out
hmm
recently. Like I've been a big another guy that I really like watching is Luka Doncic. I mean, that
Oh
guy.
yes,
Oh,
he's dirty,
he's
man.
special. That guy is special. And being that I'm part Slovenian as well as Croatian, I mean, obviously I have a little bit of love for Doncic.
hmm
That guy, he's gonna light the league up. I mean, Kawhi though, he's very much like he's earned his chips. He's gonna be a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
So
Kawhi just does it like under the radar. Such a quiet dude. Like you, like at the end of the game, he's like, I mean, you're like, damn, he had 30. When the fuck did he have 30? He just does it just
right,
nonchalant. Just pull up, splash, dunk,
yeah,
layup, couple free throws, just here and there. But like Luca, he's such a flashy player. So like when he scores 30, 40 points, you're like, that dude really just went the fuck off. Like you really just watched him put in work. And it's completely different. And like
yep,
it's pretty crazy to see the drastic difference. But I think we're watching a young goat. We're watching the future of the NBA with Luca. Luca will be the LeBron of our league. I think personally. I just personally think that's where it's heading. But my
that could be
favorite
the case.
player is Zion. I'm probably biased because I'm a huge Duke fan, but Zion man just brings so much excitement. My man is like 6'8", 280 or whatever he is, the biggest dude in the league, but he's probably like one of the fastest and quickest dudes in the league and can literally jump out the gym. Like if that man can learn to shoot consistently and probably play for a better team, it might be scary. It might be game over.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing with the Pelicans too. They're a young, very young team. They have a lot of potential. I think they need the right coaching down there
Hmm.
to get these young guys into better shape because they could end up having a really decent team. Zion's a special player. I hated playing against him. It's funny. I'm a UNC fan on the other end, so I know hate. I don't. I like the rivalry to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's
Obviously,
great.
when the game comes around, I gotta give you guys some shit, but
Of
you know,
course.
it is a fun rivalry. A lot of good talent like Zion Williamson came out of Duke. I mean, we had, obviously Jordan came out of UNC. We had
Hmm.
Rasheed Wallace, Vince Carter. You
Hmm.
know, I could go on just like you could do with Duke.
Right.
That rivalry is beautiful, but Zion is special. That kid is—he's younger than me, so I can call him a kid. He's
I bet you're
special.
getting that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he's like a
crazy.
baby.
Circling back to your gym teacher,
Uh,
right?
we're- yeah.
But yeah, man.
uh,
So who do you think is gonna play in the championship this year? Who's coming out
so
the West? Let's break it down.
I
Who's coming out the West?
so the West. This one's tough, man. I had the Lakers at the beginning.
Yeah, same.
So honestly, with my gut, I really think this Phoenix Suns team is special. I really like Devin Booker. I like the vet presence that Chris Paul has been able to give. Bonnie Williams is a great coach. Um, I've been watching a lot of the NBA playoffs. I didn't watch a lot of the season. I kept up. But the Phoenix Suns, they could come out of the West. They really could.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think it's a tough one, man. Like obviously the Suns are on fire, but then like that whole Mavs and Clippers game, that series right now is intense, and it's just like either one of them could really go to the chip because that Clippers team ain't no slouch, and obviously we already know about Dallas and Luca. With I mean, if Porzingis shows up every game and he's healthy, alongside Luca with the rest of that team, that's pretty solid too. That's also a very scary team and a very
Yes, they
young
are.
team. So it's just like I think it's probably like I know there's not that many teams to choose from, but like it's clearly has to be one of those three teams, and I don't know who I would take. I mean, man, it's so tough to take. I'm gonna run with the Clippers. I just think the Clippers have that veteran like a really big presence, a really solid
Yeah.
superstar presence. They have the veteran presence. They have the defensive presence. It's just can they shut down Luca enough to be able to just win that series? Because they're down, I think what 3-2, I think.
Yep.
So
They got to force game seven tonight.
yeah, so that'll be a big game tonight. So it's definitely going to come down to that. But what about the East? It's a
Huh.
tough one too. I know.
But up until about a couple days ago, I had told you the Sixers had it easy. But with Embiid not being 100%, I still think the
That throws it
Sixers
off.
have a
Yep.
shot at the final. I still think the Sixers have a shot. But they have a lot of competition. That East side, for the first time in a long time, is tough.
Yeah.
I like what I'm seeing out of the East, but I'm still going to take my Sixers. Well, my second team has the Sixers. So,
uh, I'd say I'm gonna go. Obviously, I feel like I'm gonna hop on the bandwagon with this one. It got to be the Nets. There's no way that you build this ultimate
oh,
super team that's averaging like 100 and some points a game just between three players to not win a chip. They're basically doing what LeBron did with D Wade and Chris Bosh at this point. They gotta win it. If they
I
don't win
hate the
it, they
Nets.
I mean, at this point, everybody hates the Nets. That team's full of
I hate the
superstars and
Nets.
old superstars, and they're stacked, and anybody can go off at any given night. And it's just like that team has to win it. Like you don't build a team the way that team is built and not win championships. That team has to win a championship, and that's ultimately who I'm pulling to win it all.
Yeah, at this point, it's the most logical team to take it. I mean, their starting five is a former All Star roster. I mean, it's like
Hmm.
unbelievable that they were able to pull it off the way they did.
Yeah, and the
But
fact that they
like
they
I
they
said,
basically
them
had LaMarcus
Sixers can give them
Aldridge.
some trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. If Embiid somehow is healthy, that meniscus tear, people are a little scared about it, but a lot of people play on that shit too,
yeah.
especially in playoffs. It's a small tear. It's not. I'm not an expert. I'm not no doctor, but people play without their meniscus. That is a fact. Brandon Roy
Yeah,
did it and still
yeah,
won Rookie of the Year.
yeah. True. But I don't know that's a big dude to have a slightly torn meniscus. It's going to take him one power move,
That's the
and that's it.
only problem.
Yeah,
Yep.
because I mean,
Yep.
there's nobody in the East, and there's not that many people in the league anymore that can stop Embiid. Embiid's just a big dude. He's like that classic big man that's going to put in work. And like the only person that
Mm-hmm.
can really compete with that is Jokic. That's it. I love Jokic.
He's a beast. That guy can play. And now that Embiid's hurt, I really think Jokic is going to be the MVP of the league this year. I hate to say it. I would have said Embiid up until he got hurt, just because Jokic is going to get a little more time now. So
Right, exactly. I mean, Jokic, man, that dude plays 1 through 5. He plays all 5 positions. He's the point guard. He's the shooting
he's
guard.
so
He's the center.
dirty.
Don't matter. It's incredible. I mean, we're watching like probably one of the best big men of all time by far. One of them.
He's very like when you say the positions, he reminds me of a bigger Scottie Pippen. Like
Hmm.
he very much reminds me of the kind of style that he plays. It's very obviously European, but what I mean by the style of Pippen is Pippen could dribble. Like if you watch The
Hmm.
Last Dance, that's what his position was. He was a point guard, and then he just shot up like a
Yeah.
tree, and he still had them. He still had them handles. So Jokic, like he's just a big man that can dribble a little bit, and he
Right.
can shoot. So he's
Right.
got he's got a little bit of improvement on Pippen's game just because he's a little bigger.
Right. Exactly. So, so who do you think's winning it all? You pulling for the Sixers to win it all?
I'm pulling for Philly to win it all. Is it realistic? No. If my realistic pick is it's either going to be if the Sixers don't make it, it'll be the Nets. If the Sixers make it, it'll be the Suns.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So you think the Suns have a better team than the Sixers if they went head to head?
They're the healthier team. That's how I'll put it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree. But you think any big moves are going to happen in the off season for the NBA?
It could. I mean, it's interesting. Honestly, I'm
Seems
not
like
too
it.
knowledgeable on who's going to be a free agent coming up, but I
Hmm.
just somebody's going to have to compete with these Nets if they're making this super team. I feel like there could be a move where it could shock the world. Who knows?
Right. I'm just interested to see if LeBron tries to lure in another superstar to that team to add to that firepower. Because the Lakers probably wouldn't have got bounced first round if they had 100% healthy AD. Even if AD was 80% healthy, they would still be playing. If not, probably win that series. But they were playing with a completely injured AD and a team full of non-shooters. Apparently, they all just decided not to show up. But it'd be
Yeah, they
interesting
don't
to
have
see
a
how they
shooter.
trans. They don't, and it's sad. But that'd be interesting to see who LeBron, because LeBron can basically get whoever he wants on that team. If the contracts and stuff like that, all the behind the scenes work can line up, he'll make it happen. And it's crazy to think that
He,
we're still
he's the
talking about
he's the
Bron.
GM.
Yeah, he's the GM. He's the head
he's
coach.
he's the general manager of the LA Lakers.
Yeah, he's the president. He probably owns part of the team somehow. Like he is everything. I mean, it's incredible to see this man still perform at year 18 or whatever number he's at now. Like, it's insane. 36 years old or whatever, however old he is, he should not be performing the way he's performing.
That's why he's the goat.
I think so.
I'm gonna label that one forever.
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree on that one. There, he has broken every single record, and he's still chasing the points, like whoever scored the most points, and that's gonna be damn near impossible. He'd have to be in the league for like 10 more years.
You gotta Kareem's numbers are impeccable with that. I don't know who's gonna touch that number.
Right. But let's move on to a sport that I know you're more familiar with. I'm not too huge into soccer, but I do like watching soccer along like FIFA and stuff like that, of course. But who's your favorite soccer team?
Manchester United through and through. Best team in the world. They're the best team the Premier League's ever seen, and yeah, they're the best. Well, right now Chelsea's the best assholes, but yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, man, I wish I knew a lot more in soccer, man. It's one of those sports that I need to get more into other than every 4 years or whatever. But I mean, my favorite player is obviously Ronaldo. I love that dude, man. Like he's so crazy to
Yep.
watch, and I love his like attitude. I don't like he has that I don't give a fuck about your attitude. He has that stuck up attitude, and he's gonna just ball out there. And he really be laying his whole body out there. Like my man, when he's going for headers, he's like laying full out, and I'm just like, nope, I'm not doing it because I'd get hurt immediately.
Yeah, he's got a jump that I've never seen before. He can get up there, and it's hard to defend him.
Yeah,
So
imagine seeing him in the
he's just
NBA.
he's a special player. Yeah, he could be in the NBA if he knew how to play basketball. Man, that'd be phew.
Yeah, he'd be probably dunking on
But
folks if he was that like
easily.
that good. But who's your favorite player?
So, I mean, I would piggyback Ronaldo as well. Recently, though, being a Man U fan, that we've had a spell over the last 8 years that has been just absolute shit. We ever since our manager Sir Alex Ferguson left, he didn't leave, he stepped down.
Hmm.
He's now a chairman for the team, but anywho, the team spiraled for many many years. I mean, they were very a predominant club over in Europe, especially in England. And my favorite player right now is Bruno Fernandes.
Okay.
He is the current captain, one of the captains at Man United. Him and Harry Maguire share it, but
Hmm.
pretty much, the reason I like him, they signed him last year, and he's been the most impactful player on the pitch. It doesn't matter what team
Okay.
he would have played for, he would have done this. He is a prolific leader on the pitch. He's very impressive to watch. He's just like Ronaldo, but he's smaller, and he can take penalties just like Ronaldo can. He's Portuguese, so he's
Right.
lining up. He's literally the next guy.
Yeah.
And that's they're special. So
Yeah. They just hopefully they can hold on to him and not let go of a great player up and coming.
they won't. That's their child. That's their new Wayne Rooney. He's gonna be there forever. I would assume.
You think so?
I just hope he doesn't get a call from Real Madrid. That would be the only thing I feel. I think if anybody gets a call from Real Madrid now, that has also changed. The Los Blancos is what they call Real Madrid. If you were called to them, you're going. But recently, it hasn't been that way. The management hasn't been great in Spain. Like them and
Hmm.
Barcelona aren't the same. But I think a lot of players are starting to come back to England a little bit more. So hopefully that's the avenue Man United gets is some great better talent. So
Right. Do you watch much soccer in the United States at all? I mean, the MLS is almost like a joke compared to European.
my thing with the MLS is I would have said a few years ago it's a retirement league because it's the case. A lot of players come over to the United States in their late 30s to continue playing with these guys that I mean I don't want to call them scrubs, but like they're not. America didn't teach soccer the way Europeans taught soccer. Because football and other sports like basketball and baseball were the more predominant sports here.
Hmm.
But I mean, just like because I'm no expert on the sport, even if I play it and pay attention to it. The dynamic here is so different, and that's why in the United States, we have a very very good young system right now. These kids that we have that are on the U.S. national team, there's a reason they play in Europe. They're not going to play in the MLS if it stays the way it is. They're getting these washed up players, people that are okay. I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter. You're a pro, like you're good at the
Hmm.
sport, but like there's another level when you go to
Right.
when you go to European ball.
It
It's why players like Christian Pulisic are doing what they're doing and now have a Champions League title. So
right. It seems like the MLS is like semi-pro almost. It's like to
compared
me.
to compared to Europe, yes,
It's like it's interesting to see like the reverse. Like we were just talking about basketball. Like NBA, big. If you're in the NBA, like you're the best players in the world. But if you're playing over in European basketball, you're just like, eh. It's where all the washed up guys go, the people who can't make it to the top, and it's like it's reversed. Like if you go to play football over there in Europe, you're top notch. But if you're playing soccer, I'm just gonna call it soccer here with MLS, you're just like, you're all right. You're pretty good, but you're all right. Like you're not that good. So it's interesting to see
yeah.
how that's reversed.
I think it's going to change here soon. David Beckham recently bought a club down in Miami, and Inter Miami is now one of my favorite clubs because I love that they're trying to incorporate European football here in America, the same style. Because I would love to see America be big in soccer. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, man. But what's your predictions for the Euros? Because that's coming up this summer, right?
Man, that comes up next week. I
next week.
can't wait. Yeah, it's coming up quick. I thought about it the other day. I'm like, holy shit, next week they have the Euro. It's literally coming up.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to piggyback on the Portuguese that I think is the best team. I know you said you're not a big expert and watch soccer, and that's fine. A lot of the Portuguese players that play at a lot of these different clubs around the world, they have proven themselves to be elite
Hmm.
athletes. There's a particular player I like to point out. His name's Ruben Diaz. He's a center back for Manchester City, and fuck Man City. I don't like to swear on podcasts, but fuck them.
Hey,
Um,
you get on
I
here.
yeah, nah. It's the Portuguese, like that guy. He is a rock solid player. They have a lot of young talent on that team. Now, there's a couple other really good clubs out there, or good countries out there that can do it. I wish Croatia was as good as they were in 2018 because it would be beautiful to see them in a final again. I've
Right.
never been happier. That was a great summer.
Yeah, that was definitely a
But
shocker. I was watching that a little bit, and I was just like, "Yo, it's crazy to see such a smaller country like a country that doesn't really make it that far usually, like go all the way and almost win it all."
yeah, well, they're not your average. They're not your Germanys. They're not your Spain. They're not your France. They're not England, Portugal. It's this little country of Croatia that they had a lot of. They still have the talent. They're just a
Right.
little older now. But yeah, that was fun. That summer was one of the best summers I ever got to watch some football. I got to watch it all over the country too. I was here in the United States though, domestically, but
Hmm.
it was awesome to do that. So.
Yeah. So who do you got winning it all? Then you're taking Portuguese probably.
I'm gonna take Portugal. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that was always one of my favorite teams, even in FIFA and stuff like that. I just feel like they're always so much more superior. They're all over the place. They're aggressive and stuff like that. Like they play at a very fast paced tempo too, and it's just like they're it's sometimes it's almost impossible to keep up with those dudes, no matter what. And they always have
Yeah,
like athletes that are like freaks of nature, honestly. So I mean, I'm
Ronaldo.
now that you yeah, exactly, now that you reminded me, Euro is like, right around the corner here next week. I'm excited to check it out because like it's always like Euro, FIFA, always got to check it out and just does this include the United States? Did they have a chance to play in this or did they?
Now, Euro is just Europe.
Okay,
Everything like the
okay, okay.
World Cup is everybody. Yeah, I mean the Euro, like United States plays in its own, like they do like the North America, South America kind of situation.
Okay.
That because it's pretty much comparable. They have some like the same amount of countries as they would in Europe in a way.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's more of their style, and obviously it's not the same. Like most of your European countries are the big names. But I mean, they're still playing competition. Like Mexico's no joke. Argentina, you got
Hmm.
Brazil down there. I mean, you're playing in a completely different world when you're playing with those kind of teams. So
Right. But one more thing here. What's your thoughts on this whole Super League that came and went like really quick?
I'm glad it came and went. At first, when the announcement came out about the Super League, I was like, "Wow, Man United, they're seen as an elite club." And then you really dive deeper into it, and it really was a plot all along by management and owners to
Yep.
literally say, "Screw all you other teams that think you're as superior as we are because we have money. Let's go spend that money and try to make more." And I'm like, listen, you're taking away from the passion side of,
Yep.
of
It all
football.
became about money at the end at that point.
And that's not how it's supposed to be. The
Nope.
part, like soccer as a sport, is so much. I hate to put it in this terminology, but it is a poor sport.
Right.
All you need is a ball and something to put it between. That is soccer and a field, I guess.
Yep.
And even that, you could do it on a basketball court. I remember I played barefoot on concrete in Croatia on it was just like a street ball version, or it
Hmm.
was crazy. But either way, I mean, that the Super League, that was a terrible idea. You're taking away from the passion of the fans. You're taking away. That is what these players play for.
Right.
Chase Edmonds even said that about the NFL. You want that excitement, but Over there, it's a completely different. That's their life. They're revolved around football, and to them, where they're from, they wear their crest on their sleeve or on their chest or what. I mean, they're man. It's you can't take that away from the sport because that's what makes soccer, football, however you
Yeah.
want to call it. I'm American, so sorry.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to say football because we're just like, oh yeah, like the Red Washington football team and the Eagles, right? No, we're talking about kicking a ball on the ground back and forth. It's different. So yeah, it's
Right.
definitely weird. But yeah, man, you have any last thoughts on anything in the sports world before we close out the episode?
Um, I mean, really, I I hope that Man United finally makes some progress. They finally hit second place in the Premier League. I don't like settling for second place, but compared to the last few years, I'll
You'll
take
take
it.
it.
So make some signings, please.
Yeah. Yeah, so my last thought with sports is I hope the Spurs can continue to grow and take it to the next level again and get back into that competitive basketball. But staying along the lines of soccer or football, I definitely personally need to start watching it more. It's a sport that's always been fun. Like I love watching soccer, like especially when it's FIFA time or World Cup time or whatever. Like going out to the bar and you're just surrounded by everybody just watching the game, and it gets so crazy there too at the bars watching soccer stuff too, and it's just insane. So I love the environment. I definitely got to get into it because I don't really know any players other than like the big names and stuff like that. So definitely got to get into it. But yeah, man, what a
Yeah.
conversation we just had, man. It's been 57 minutes actually, so it's about time to wrap this up.
Wow.
So yeah, we just talk, man. Time just flies when you're having fun. But I definitely want to take the time out to personally thank you again for joining me today. This was such a great episode, man. Thanks for definitely coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me, Vic. It's a pleasure to be here. Honestly, this is a great thing you're doing. Really excited to see other people doing podcasts as well.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like I said, we got to continue growing, continue building, and really, what you got here is pretty great. So, thank you for
Appreciate
having me.
appreciate it, bro. One step at a time, right? But
One step at a time.
definitely want to take the time out to thank everybody who checked us out live today on our Twitch channel. Also, thanks to everybody who checks us out later on any of the streaming platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, whatever it may be. Thanks for checking us out. But Tony, where can we find you at, and where can we find the podcast at? One more time, plug in those social medias for us.
Yeah, no problem. So you can find me at Tony Shed Talk across the board. You can also find the podcast at Shed Talk Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and obviously for streaming purposes, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. I highly recommend the YouTube channel because you actually get to see a version of the shed. Obviously, if you want to hear my voice and hear me talk, sure, but you want to see the shed, man. It's beautiful in there. So check
Yeah,
it out.
video versions are always better. But everybody,
Always.
you can check me out at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin underscore Xbox X Never Space Chillin Game Party Up Talk. Facebook Vic Brubacher. Question concerns want to come on the show? Hit me up. Check it out at twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin for live episodes or if when I stream gaming. So be sure to check that out. Continue to check out the Press Start podcast on the Chill Zone, all platforms as well. Next episode is next Thursday at 7 p.m. So be on the lookout for that. But I definitely want to thank everybody again. But until next time, peace.
See you guys.